underplaying it. I mean, the Saints have had 91 points put up on the board in the first 2 weeks of the season. Peter, is this the offense that you just never saw coming? But my goodness, do you love seeing it?
Well, let's first set the stage here. This is Dallas's home opener. They're coming off a huge win. Dak got his money. CD got his money. Before the game, you got one of the Paul brothers out there, and he's with Mike Tyson. And
Which Paul brother?
Logan Paul, the bigger one. Yeah,
okay.
Logan Paul's out there. Mike Tyson, Jerry Jones, Charlotte Jones, Stephen Jones. Brady's out there. Aaron Andrews out there. And it's a parade out there in the middle of the field. It's the home opener. They open up the doors to the stadium,
Fancy.
the AT&T stadium, and all the fans come flooding in, and it's like, we're here. We're door busting for this Cowboys team.
I love that shot.
And then the Saints.
By the way, it was Jake Paul.
It was Jake Paul, whatever. Saints score 6 touchdowns on their first 6 possessions, and Derek Carr looks unbelievable. Show the highlights, show the footage, because Carr was everything.
Let's show Derek
You want to
Carr.
talk about spoiling a home opener. This thing was over before it started. Carr's throwing bombs to Shaheed, who I love wearing number 22.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And he's not a running back. He's a wide receiver wearing 22. I love
have to
that.
think about that.
There's got to be some others, I'm sure. Little dump off pass to Kamara becomes a big play. And you're saying, wow, this offense, like the same players are there. Like, what is going on? Can I introduce you guys to Clint Kubiak?
Go on.
Does that name do anything? Can we talk Clint Kubiak at 8:22 in the morning on the East Coast? Clint Kubiak is the offensive coordinator. They hired him from San Francisco, where last year he was the passing game coordinator working with Purdy. And that offense out there in San Francisco is obviously Gary Kubiak's son. 15 years in the league, has bounced around as far as the offensive roles go. But Clint came in, and it felt like it was a bit of a lateral move because he's not the head coach. Dennis Allen's still the head coach. But he went from being the offensive passing game coordinator for a Shanahan team, which basically means you're never going to call the plays, to running the offense in New Orleans. And if you want to see a huge delta between a team last year and this year through 2 weeks, it's the New Orleans Saints offense. Credit to Derek Carr, credit to all the other players on offense, and credit to that offensive line, including my guy, Taliesin Fuanga, who was basically just removing people yesterday. But Clint Kubiak's name needs to be household soon enough. The Saints look like they're the best offense in sports 2 weeks into the season.
And Peter, Clint Kubiak did an amazing job play calling against this defense for the Dallas Cowboys. You know, you look at that Dallas Cowboys defense and what they did to the Cleveland Browns the week before, and look at how they utilized Micah Parsons. We remember, we were talking about this last week. They were like, well, they're showing the offense here, but we were talking about defensively. They were picking their poison. Like, Micah was like, I'm going to go with this offensive lineman. I'm going to hit that one. And he had a bunch of quarterback hits. He had a bunch of, he had a sack in that game. He was at them. And so what does Clint Kubiak do? He said, you know what? I know how we're going to freeze him. We're going to do rhythm pass. We're going to hit him with the short, nice routes. We're going to hit them with the screen game, the play action. That was the way they were able to slow down this defense. And it was the only way you could, especially when you think about having what you were talking about with Taliesin Fuanga, a rookie offensive lineman going up against a Micah Parsons. If you have quick games, you really throw the defensive lineman off. You throw the defense off. They're constantly having to play catch-up, and that offense could never catch up to this, explosive offense. Back-to-back games with 40-plus points. That's impressive.
I'm going to say it again. I've said this last week. 32. 32 is where the New Orleans Saints ranked preseason on this show and any other show in terms of buzz, hype, conversation. The New Orleans Saints, did we do a single segment on them in the summer? Did anyone on ESPN do a single segment on the New Orleans Saints over the summer? I don't think so. There was more buzz on the Panthers. There was more buzz on the Patriots. We talked about them a lot. The Saints were just nothing. And now they've completely lit the world on fire in their first 2 weeks. I think it is so cool. We knew that they were going to have those old war horses on defense. They always have. The DeMario and Cam, and those guys are great. They really are. I just didn't see this Derek Carr coming through the first 2 weeks looking this good. It's been unbelievably fun to show. And I want to make another point about Good Morning Football. We are not taking this game and pushing it into a Cowboys conversation. We have bylaws here, all right? If you win the game 44-19, you go 2-0, we'll talk about you. I don't care what market you're in. I don't care if you're a high school team. I'm sure if you flip a few channels away, they're making this a Cowboys thing. We are going to talk about the Saints fans. And Peter, it's who dat or who day? Who dat? We're going to do who dat this morning. Derek Carr, like last week we had this conversation about like, man, is Baker Mayfield the coolest guy in the NFL? And he really is, even after another week. Derek Carr looks amazing. He looks fun. He looks cool. The vibe is contagious, and it's not often that with him. There's a guy that some of us know who maybe doesn't work for us anymore. We used to talk about Derek Carr, and he used to say, good guy, good quarterback. That's not really a guy that you worry about when you have that quarterback that week. I don't know. It looked like the Cowboys weren't worried about him either, and they just let up another touchdown. Another one. The game's not even going on, and he's somehow still scoring. Saints, we're talking about you. We respect what you're doing. Nice job. Do it again.
Kyle, thank you for laying down the bylaws. I always appreciate staying within the rules. Please, could I have the Alvin Kamara highlights? Because Alvin Kamara was unbelievable yesterday. He had 4 touchdowns. He had 4 touchdowns. And the last time he had that many touchdowns was in 2020 when he had 6 touchdowns. Kamara has been this guy for the Saints. Why he was left untapped for a few seasons, we are not sure. And frankly, after listening to Peter opine about Kubiak, maybe that's the reason why. Kubiak comes from San Francisco. He learns under Kyle Shanahan. He learns the passing game coordinator ways. And then he comes, he's like, wait a second, I have Alvin Kamara who I get to play with now? Kyle, or Peter, I have to imagine that Kubiak looks at this coming with a Christian McCaffrey and a Deebo Samuel, and he's like, okay, I've learned a couple things now, and look what I can apply against a really good Cowboys defense.
Absolutely. And to do that in Dallas, Jamie, is such a statement as well. But you're right. We saw Kamara get his. We saw Shaheed get his. But we also saw guys like Olave and Taysom Hill. Everyone was involved. So, look, it's 2 weeks into the season, but you're talking about two games where you put up 40 points or more, and that is legit. And Clint Kubiak has found his way. And Alvin Kamara, welcome back to our conversations in the first hour of the show. It's been a while.